Hello, my name is Anika. I'm an art critic and curator. I write a column for the German art magazine Monopol about art and social media. And I'm here to speak with the New York-based artist Brandon Lipchik because he's part of the exhibition Friends and Friends of Friends, Artistic Communities in the Age of Social Media. So let's see if, there's a couple of people. There's artist Manuel Rossner watching. There's Fabian Müller. Oh, there's the director. Hello, Mr. Weidinger. I hope you enjoy your holidays. Thank you for tuning in. So let's see if we can find Brandon. He's not watching yet, I think. There he is. Let's invite show. So, waiting for Brandon. He's in his studio in New York right now, and I hope he can show us around a bit. And there he is. He's waving. Brandon, I've invited you to the stream. Could you please accept the invitation? It should work. There's his gallerist, Robert Kronenberg. Okay, let's try it again. Still waiting. I do a performance in the meantime, drinking Coca-Cola. Brandon, I invited you to join the stream. It says waiting, so I guess I send a request. Yeah, I know, you send a request and I tapped on it. Yeah, it says waiting for Brandon Lipchik Studios, so now it's connecting. There you are. Hi, Brandon.
Hi. Sorry about that. I was
No problem.
confused.
No problem. How are you?
Good, how are you? Nice
I'm
to see you
fine.
again.
My neighbors are renovating their apartment right now. I'm in my home office, so
Yeah,
let's hope
hopefully.
they're not start drilling again for like the next 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's hope. Let's hope for that.
So
Cool.
good to see you. You've been to Linz for the opening, right?
Yes, I was. I was lucky to be able to be there for that short time, but yeah, I mean the opening was really nice. I mean the space is really big. I was really impressed how everything came out. Yeah.
How many pieces do you have in the show? It's quite a few, right?
I think it was five pieces or so.
Hmm.
Two larger pieces and then three or four, or three kind of medium, and maybe one small. Yeah.
Exciting. And you can see that you are in your studio. Do you want to show us around a bit?
Oh
So that,
yeah. Sure,
yeah.
yeah. So, wait, can I turn this? Yeah, so this is the studio, but I don't
Yeah.
really have anything finished, but I was just kind of working on stretching some canvases. I have some lot here. But this is kind of like a little spray booth area so that the dust kind of doesn't get on anything, like
Oh.
finished paintings or whatnot. But yeah, so this is kind of where I work. If I'm doing any of the airbrushing stuff, it's usually in this little nook. Um, but other than that, then I kind of work on other parts of the paintings, maybe like where there's kind of like paint marks or oil paint outside of this little area. Yeah. So, but yeah, this is it.
And the first time we've met, I just remember, was I think in Berlin last summer, right? Probably. Or while you were
Yeah.
working on your first solo show with Robert Kronenberg in Berlin, and this just came to my mind because you had a little studio in there in Berlin. You're working right in the gallery on your paintings, and I guess your not your art practice has changed because you still work with airbrush, but what's on the canvas has changed. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, when I was in Berlin last, I was kind of using the gallery as a little temporary studio space. But yeah, I mean, I think after each show I've done, I've kind of tried to work with different concepts, but I think overall there's a genuine theme that runs through. Maybe it's like about the process, but I think maybe some of the earlier shows I did were kind of with, about either the male nude or then the one recently I did with uh, Gallery Julien Cadet in Paris. It was kind of more thinking about, these kind of um, lawn, like landscapes, dealing with like private and public spaces and the figure. And yeah, and then the recent show I did with Robert was I was actually doing I wrote a lot of some poems and did like a VR poetry piece alongside the paintings. So yeah, I would say content changes a bit as I move forward.
So your main topic sort of didn't change, like you mentioned, it's the male nude, but I think what really has changed and is quite unique is the perspective you use in your paintings. I mean,
Yeah,
you really say where the viewer is standing, let's say it like this.
yeah,
How did this
yeah,
come about?
yeah. I think like I mean maybe like as a dealing being a painter, like working with the figure, I think yeah, I think I deal with like the male body because I am male body, but also like the male gaze. But yeah, I think in the way these kind of perspectives came about was that I was really thinking about I was thinking about like film and how film kind of has this like overhead sometimes has this like overhead um, angle, and I was kind of dealing with sort of digital media and thinking about this orthographic perspective of looking down, and kind of has this some of the paintings have this top down view, kind of like this kind of diminutive maybe um,
It's
feeling
like
to
a
the
drone circling
figures.
around, right? Sort of.
Yeah, and some of the
Yeah.
paintings, it's kind of how I start the sketch, is like there's a certain kind of angle that kind of interests me. So yeah.
And I mean, the question I think for your generation might always be, I mean, you've mentioned that for your last show you worked with VR, and I remember that you said while you were studying, you also worked in VR. So the question is, why painting in the digital age?
Yeah,
Why the
totally. I mean,
canvas?
yeah, of course. I think when I was in school, I was building these VR environments, working with video game software and bringing it into kind of like thinking about painting too at the same time, and I could never quite find a reason to bring them together. Um, and then there was a part of me that I felt like I just couldn't like not make something physical. I think we talked about this like before, and I don't know, maybe it's like a human desire that I just needed to make something with my hands. And so yeah, then with this new show, I showed a VR piece alongside the painting, and basically the concept of this was that the 3D models and the virtual objects that I was making in the VR piece were used alongside the process of making the painting, or this large painting that I made. So as you're exploring this VR, there was kind of like a statue or a monument inside, or sculpture inside the VR piece. But then as you take it off, you can see how I could kind of manipulate that along the same process of making a painting. So, but wait, did that answer? Why painting? Yeah. So I
I,
think
I,
having
I
that
also
connection.
remember what you said. I think I interviewed you for Monopol magazine for the Insta Watch list last year, and then I think I also asked you the same question, and you said, "Well, we're constantly bombarded by images on social media. We jump from, you know, the news to messages from friends to I don't know what, images and videos. And I mean, so I think you called it a radical act to paint because
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think I do remember that. I mean, yeah, I
it was
think,
a really good answer.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's one way to look at it. I think, dealing with it. I mean, it's unavoidable to be, looking constantly seeing images. I think this is kind of critiques of like the pictures generation of like back then. Certainly a part of it, but I think social media changes that even further. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe this painting will never kind of go away, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, painting is, it's always being said, you know, painting is dead. And then people say, oh, painting is back. But I don't know if painting, um, it probably will never die because I mean, what I think is fascinating for people is that you have a unique piece that only
yeah,
exists once in the world, and I think that's even more special in the age of social media. You know, where you like you've put it quite well when you said, well, we constantly jump from video to message to news to Netflix to I don't know what.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like
I think
good to have something that
it's just
exists
a
only once.
natural. Yeah, it's like a slow. I mean, it's a slow image, right? Like you can't quite. It takes a long time to develop, and maybe the way that people still consume painting or artwork is still very quick. Maybe the way that it's the same way that you consume a, I don't know, Instagram meme or something for some people, but it happens. Yeah,
I mean, I think with your paintings, it's like with basically all paintings, it's important to see it, you know, in a gallery or in a museum because on your canvases, there's happening a lot. I mean, if you go closer to it, I mean, there's, you know, little 3D parts, so the painting is, you know, sort of
yeah.
taking up space again.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for me, working in as the process of using digital tools, I think I want there to be a slower read when it comes to seeing them in person, and try to enhance the opportunity of the painting having something deeper than what you can see just clicking through.
Yeah. And I mean, how do you start working on a painting?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I do a lot of sketching with 3D rendering software. Um, that was actually more recent that I started using that to start the piece. And in that sense, I kind of go through many different layers. So I start with the 3D rendering and using like figures in 3D rendering and kind of manipulating them through all sorts of media. But yeah, and then eventually when it comes to the canvas, I'm constantly thinking about the image that I'm making and how I want the certain marks or certain shapes to develop or manifest with paint. So
And you work with airbrush, right? So that's sort of,
yeah, yeah, I do work with airbrush, for a lot of marks. But yeah, actually recently I've been kind of working back into the brush. Like you'll see maybe on some of the more recent paintings, I'm kind of bringing that back into the paintings, and also dealing with oil paint again, which is maybe such a historically um, coined paint, such a painterly tradition of using oil paint, as opposed to the invention of acrylics in like what was it, the 80s or something. But yeah, so I think I still want to be a part of that dialogue um, of painting. So I want to show more of my hand. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, because I mean, when you work with an airbrush, I mean, that's what Avery Singer does. For example, I guess she's
Yeah.
well known for using an airbrush. And she sort of works with a machine that's like the Michelangelo art robot or so. I
Mm,
think that's the name of the machine, which is quite funny. You know, the title Michelangelo, and I mean
right.
she wants to erase the hand from the painting.
Sure, yeah.
Um, yeah, so I mean, you're part of the exhibition Friends and Friends of Friends. It's about artistic communities in the age of social media. The show is hosted by Ollie App,
Yeah.
an artist who coined the term post-digital pop. How have Ollie and you, I mean, you know each other in person, how have you met?
Yeah.
Through Instagram?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so we first just followed each other as many I think artists do now on Instagram, and then I applied to, he runs a resident. I think this must have been, I don't know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that.
Hmm.
And so I think I was one of the first people who came. And then, yeah, I mean, we just kind of clicked from there, and we've been friends ever since. And yeah, it's just a testament to maybe how art connections work, at least for me nowadays.
And do you know any of the other artists in the show? It's you're 19, all working in different media, sculpture and painting. Do you know
Yeah,
anyone else through Instagram?
yeah. I mean, I think I know almost all of them from Instagram, but I met some of a lot of them, in person, obviously. Like I knew I met Harrison Pierce through Ollie when I was at the residency, and Cheyenne. We did go to school together. We didn't really talk as much when we were in school, but I know her studio. Excuse me, her studio was close to mine in the building. So
So
I
your
know her that way.
neighbors.
Yeah, we were neighbors like
Cool.
in undergrad. um, but then
And now your
yeah,
neighbors in the exhibition, right? Sort of.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we were close by. Well, she was on. Actually, no, we were on the opposite ends. But we were like, you do the
You're
loop
closer
around.
in real life than you're in the exhibition space.
Yeah, but yeah, and I met Roxanne Jackson through Ollie. I think it was during Armory Week, and Dale Lewis. I went to his studio when I was in London through Ollie. Through the residency time. So yeah, and then it all flows that way. Yeah.
And do you think Instagram is important for your art practice? Do you think, I mean, do you need it, or could you just stop it from one day to the other and everything would still be the same for your career, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I think I could stop it for a while. I mean, like, obvious. I think it's like for me, it was a good initiation into making connections, like actual human connections, um, and I think like as I've grown older and I've gone, met more people, I think then it becomes, you don't really need to rely as much on I mean, social media to make connections because you can meet people through other people, but I mean, yeah, I think it's just a great way to start the conversation with people. But yeah, no, certainly like I love it because I can, be introduced to different artworks that maybe I wouldn't be able to have time to see in real life, or maybe they're across the world, but yeah.
How have you met, I think I don't know this, how have you met your gallerist, Robert Grunberg, your Berlin-based
Oh yeah.
gallerist? Through Instagram?
Yeah, no, actually, that is the most real life random connection that I've met. Honestly, I met Robert at a birthday party.
Oh,
Yeah, so I went to Berlin. Actually, I had no actual reason other than to see the art. I was curious. I just wanted to see the art world and see the art scene a bit. So I went to Berlin for a week, and then we had a mutual friend, and I met at Robert's birthday party, and I was like, "Hey, I'm a painter." He's like, "Hey, I'm a gallerist." And then I was like, "Oh," he showed me like the show he had on. I was like, "Oh,
well, what
cool.
was it back then?
What's that?"
What was it he showed you? What was on view at the gallery? Was it Jan Söller?
Oh, it was a Rainer Fetting show.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, yeah, he's like a
Okay, cool.
OG painter. But yeah, and then I went to the gallery and we just kind of talked from there.
And
And
now
that's
you're
just
both
how it
part of the band, the Schatzis.
happened. Yes. If no one has seen that post, it's we were both
Yeah.
wearing leather
I
jackets
mean,
one day, and then
yeah,
we,
we should tell people that the funny thing is you always sort of dress coincidentally like rock stars. So when you did your
yeah,
last show, everyone was like, "So when is your first, album coming out?" Because you look like a super cool indie band from the '90s in your leather jacket with the skinny jeans and the leather boots. And then I think
yeah,
you came up with the band name Die Schatzis, right?
yeah. Because honestly, that was the only and my favorite German word that I know.
Oh yeah,
Because it means like darling or sweetie or
yeah,
something, right?
yeah, right. So now Berlin, everyone is probably in Berlin is waiting for, your first single.
Yes,
So you're a bit
sure.
under pressure now. It's not like, oh, do your next VR piece. It's more like, when is your, first single going to come out with the band?
Yeah, or I'll be the backup dancer, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that brings me to a question that I find interesting to know. How do you work in your studio? I mean, do you listen to music or does it distract you? Do you need silence? How do you get inspired?
No, I mean I love listening to music in the studio. But I also do often listen to audiobooks while I'm working because there's a lot of, sometimes taping and labor that goes into like monotonous. So yeah, I would say I listen to audiobooks. I love listening to music. Um, yeah, but I think when I'm not painting, I'm usually reading or listening to something to find, generate some kind of conversation, or looking at films or, other art. Yeah.
Is there anything you can recommend, an audiobook, a podcast?
Oh, what was I listening to?
That's a mean question.
That's a mean question. Yeah. No, but I mean, I think anything Patti Smith is amazing.
Mm.
Like Just Kids, or I think it was the M Train that I was reading the other day. Just kind of thinking about, like, New York in the '60s and all the artists around the Chelsea Hotel, and how times were so much sweeter then in my mind, or something. I don't know. Romantic maybe.
Yeah, I think it was probably a bit different. Now we have social media and everybody
Yeah.
meets online.
And artists can't live in Soho anymore. They're they're all in Brooklyn or somewhere else.
Where are you? Are you in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn. Yeah,
Oh,
in
cool.
in I think, yeah, like East Williamsburg. Yeah. So, but yeah, just hanging out here, enjoying. I mean, I think like even after, as we're going through this pandemic, being a painter, kind of working in solitary is okay still, I think. I mean, obviously it's a hard time, but I think I'm used to being alone for many hours.
I mean,
As
yeah,
long as I
that's
can
what
be
that
here.
that's interestingly enough what most artists and writers say, that not much has changed for them. And I mean, some are joking, oh, this is what we've practiced for all of our lives, in our studio,
Yeah,
in our
we're good
homes,
at,
writing and painting. We can be alone. We're used to it.
yeah, yeah. As long as I'm, being, I'm not around a lot of people, so it's basically like isolation or quarantine anyway. So yeah, that's it's pretty okay.
Yeah.
But
So let's see if there's questions from the viewers. Questions, anyone for
I
for
think Alfred
Brandon?
said what?
What
Someone
what did
asked.
the director say? I thought he
Oh,
was I
I think
thought
he
he was
asked.
kite surfing. Um,
I think he
but
said,
he's asking
"How is New
interesting
York?"
question. How was the situation in New York? Yeah, how was the situation after the election? I mean, I spent the election week in front of CNN and I didn't even dare to switch it off while I was
Oh my
sleeping.
gosh.
That was
Yeah,
like, and
that's
John King was like the best. It was so calming, just like watching him count the numbers.
I know. I know. I did the same, honestly. I was like I was just glued to CNN for the last, this last 3, 4 days or so. But I mean, and then after like after you knew, everyone knew, it was just like, I mean, I didn't initially know at the moment, but I knew because all of New York was like was just screaming and honking and like it was so wild. I mean, it was kind of a beautiful thing to witness, but the energy was just like out of this world. So, but yeah, I mean, certainly now people are happy because of that, but now it's, how do we even move forward? Obviously, right now we're not in a complete lockdown in New York, but cases are going up. Um, so it could happen again. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we have to wait for the Biden administration, probably to get things under control. I mean,
yeah,
that's
or
what I found the most interesting to see Biden and Kamala Harris, they even
hmm
wore masks when it wasn't necessary. I mean, when they went on stage for the speeches, I mean, was watching it all live. I
hmm
stayed awake to watch the speeches. And I mean,
yeah,
Biden ran on stage, wearing a mask. It wasn't necessary. He could just, not have worn it, but he just did it as a sign, which was, I guess, super
sure,
important to
yeah,
see. Just let people know, wear your
maybe,
masks. It's a thing.
yeah, maybe a
Yeah,
statement. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I think that's super important. But yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about that prospect. Kind of maybe restore my faith in humanity a little bit. And I was actually very proud of Pennsylvania because I'm from Pennsylvania and
yeah.
they're the main state and they always, well,
They
yes, they are
decided.
a flip. Yeah, I was like, wow, I'm finally proud of one thing about being from Pennsylvania. Because it's very,
That's great.
kind of rural and, not so open-minded, but yeah.
But no, yeah. I mean, it was really so interesting to watch. I mean, when you were in front of CNN the whole time, you knew that Biden was going to win. But it was so interesting, to get proof and to get it all explained by John King. He did such a fantastic job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And then
agree.
I was in front of the TV when the election was called, when they said, oh, it's Biden
Yeah,
and Harris won, which was
yeah.
insane. I was like, wow. Yeah.
I
So and
know, I
then and
know.
then I was like, everyone was dancing, and I was dancing in my living room, because I couldn't dance on the street. With whom should I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
danced on the street? So I just
yeah.
danced in my living room. And now the neighbors started drilling.
Oh
I
boy.
knew it was going to happen.
Well, we had a great moment of silence from your drilling neighbors.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
So
I
let's
agree.
see. Are there more questions, people? I can say one more thing. There's going to be a catalog published. It's nearly finished. We're working on it so that you get it as soon as possible. There's going to be a short video, or not even short. It's going to be a sort of like 5-minute video about the exhibition, in which you're also a part of, because you've been interviewed while you were in Linz. We're going to publish this, and we're going to publish a short animation. Oh, this could be my last question. We're going to publish a short animation which explains the term post-digital pop, which was coined by Ollie App, who
I'm sorry,
hosts
you
the
you
show.
just you just cut off. I didn't hear that question. Or did you ask a question?
No, I didn't
You
ask a
Oh,
question.
okay.
I cut off.
Sorry,
Yeah, I
the Wi-Fi.
said I said what's upcoming. I said there's
Yeah,
the,
okay.
the book is coming. The catalog is nearly finished. We're going to print it probably next week. And now the neighbors are drilling. Excellent. There's Alfred Weidinger, and I said there's going to be a video which we're going to release, which you're part
Yeah.
of because you've been interviewed while you were in Linz, and then there's going to be a short animation which explains the term post-digital pop, which
Yes.
Ollie App coined. So my last question is, I mean, artists sort of never want to be, labeled.
Yeah.
So would you say your art is, post-digital pop?
Yeah, I feel like I always get asked this, and I appreciate,
Sorry for
you know,
asking again.
the label. No, I appreciate the labels, and I'm I feel like it's great that what Ollie's been doing. Yeah, I think for me, I like to be, for me, I like don't like to be labeled, but I understand why people do it. I think maybe I don't want to like limit my own personal possibilities in my studio. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in the conversation, so that's where I'll leave it. But yeah, I think I just like, to be. I'm just a painter. Maybe that's
That's beautiful.
defensive.
I'm an artist. That's always a good answer. I'm an artist.
Yeah,
We have
yeah,
we have a question from the audience. Is the pandemic going to influence your body of work? I mean, maybe we can say that Ollie app, that's the key visual of the exhibition, is a piece titled Quarantine. So it influenced Ollie's work.
yeah,
How about your work?
yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think even in the last show that I was working with Robert Grunenberg, I was definitely influenced by a lot everything that was kind of happening in New York with protests and the pandemic, and so in a way I felt like I was doing a lot of writing as well, and I felt like I don't know, I just personally I felt like I needed to combine some kind of writing practice along with painting, and you know in the future I think maybe I will continue to write. Whether or not I show the writing all the time will be, I'm still figuring that out. So, yeah.
That's a very good last answer.
Sure, yeah.
You might become a writer, and or you might not become a writer.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll
So,
see.
we'll see.
So, and
Yeah.
when's your next exhibition going to happen so that people know when they can see your work?
Yeah, I mean, like we discussed, there's gonna be we're gonna have, I'm gonna be part of a group show with Johann Koenig, at Koenig Gallery in January,
End of
and
January,
then
exactly.
end of January, yeah, and then I'm working on a solo exhibition with Richard Heller Gallery in the spring, so probably around May or so, something like this. So yeah, so that'll be in LA.
Great. Do we want
Yeah.
to answer the last two questions? Advice for young artists or art grads? Any advice?
Oh yeah. Sure. I think advice would be like, I guess maybe before even graduation or right before. Well, actually, no, we could talk about grad. But I think it's all about trying to build your network at the same time as making good quality work. So I
Go
think,
to birthday parties, probably.
yeah, go to birthday
Once the
parties
pandemic is over, go to birthday
once it's
parties and meet
over.
your gallerist there, right?
Yeah, yeah, and residencies too
Yeah.
are a great way to do that. To put yourself out there and meet other people, like in the community, other artists and curators and organizers. So
And the
yeah.
last question for today, what's your favorite thing of painting?
My
Beautiful
favorite thing.
question.
Yeah. That is a super hard question. I think painting is kind of like is life for me. So I think it's um I think the I think the gratifying thing about painting is seeing something, having like a personal experience with a work, like in real life, and feeling like its presence, or going, um, kind of like feeling the materiality of working or looking at something that was made with by hand, or not by hand, but feeling it, feeling the work. That makes sense. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful last answer. So yeah, thank you for your time.
Yeah, of
And
course.
good
Anytime,
luck with all
Anika.
your shows.
Yeah, and thank you for reaching out. I'm happy to chat anytime.
Oh, that's let's say hi to Jabila and then bye. Jabila's
Hi.
also part of the show. If you want to see more artist talks, please check IGTV on the museum account, and there you can see all the artist talk that happened before. And I'm also going to upload this one to IGTV in case you missed the beginning where Robert showed us. No, I always mix up names at some
The
point,
Shatsu.
you know? I always say Robert at some point.
It's
Brandon.
okay. Yeah. It's okay, yeah.
Okay, now we
Absolutely.
can finish because the neighbors start drilling again. Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay. Bye, Anika.
Bye
Until
bye.
next time.
Bye.